When you align and you start walking the path that's true to you, you're being your true self, you're being your authentic self, you're filling your time with things that are true to you, coming from an authentic place. You're doing the things and living a life that fills you with passion and love for life. What's interesting and what I've noticed is that the way you talk begins to change. And you'll notice this. You may already have noticed this. You talk with a certain passion and a certain love and a certain glow. You have a certain glow to yourself that others recognize. And it stands out. And what's interesting about this is that sometimes you don't realize that you're talking this way. You don't realize you're coming across this way. But it just goes to show that when you are being true and you're living your true self and filling your time with things that really do fuel you in a positive way, right? They give you life force because you love them. They excite you. You're exploring things that really bring you life. And make you fall in love with life. It could be a certain project, a certain hobby. You might be setting up a certain business within a field that you absolutely love and that feels authentic, that feels true. It's aligned with your true self, what you're here to do, your mission, right? When you start following this path, aligning with this path and walking this path, and you're not changing yourself just to fit in, or you're not spending your time doing things that really deep down aren't what you want to be doing, your whole being changes. And this is a sign that you are aligning with that true self. If you've noticed this, or if others compliment you on this passion that you have, and you talk with a certain energy that shines bright, right? And this is a beautiful thing. And as I said, it can be a sign that you really are living in alignment with what you're meant to be doing. How do you talk about life? How do you talk about yourself? And you'll notice it when you're catching up with friends or people that you've not seen in a long time, or people that you're meeting for the first time, right? You're going to have this essence, you're going to have this glow that stands out. And there's a lot to be said for when you're walking a path that is true to you, fully in alignment, right? And you're not changing yourself for society's needs or for those that are around you. And you're very clear on the vision, you're clear on where you're heading. And you might not have even accomplished it yet, but you're walking that path, getting closer to a life that you're dreaming, your desired life, right? And you're turning up each day to be your best self that's true with your true self, right? You're not changing things or dimming things and parts of you that maybe others don't like, but the truth is they're you, right? It's your true self. You begin to approach life with this whole different energy, a whole different approach. And people notice this, it doesn't go unnoticed. The way you talk has a certain passion, has a certain love. And you glow in a certain way, your eyes light up when you're talking about things that you really love and admire, or your path. When people ask you how do you spend your time or what do you do for work, you know, that response either comes from a place of normality and maybe a straight upness that is quite mundane and doesn't spark much interest, or when you're asked that question, your whole being lights up and the way you talk about it is from a place of passion, from a place of love. They can see the excitement in your eyes just when you talk about the way you spend your life or the way you spend your time. And this is huge, right? And we notice it in other people. When we're talking to them, how do they talk about life? How do they see the world? You can see if they're being authentic. You can see if they're spending their time doing things that they love, that they're proud of, you know? And this shows much more when those things are in alignment with their true self, that they know their self. They've been on a journey of knowing themselves and learning themselves and understanding themselves so that they can approach their life doing things and striving for things that are in alignment with that true self and not what we think we need to be doing for society or for others and just following what everyone else is doing. And it shows. You talk in a certain way with a certain love for life. And as I said, sometimes you won't notice that you're coming from this place, but others do notice it and you'll get compliments on it. And this is a sign, right? That you're on the right track. You're doing the right things. And you'll feel it within first anyway, right? But when others start seeing it just through the way you hold yourself and the way you talk about yourself or the things that you're doing or about life, your approach to life, sometimes it can be lost that we don't realize how in love with the things we're doing we are. But other people see it, other people that aren't feeling that love, that passion for the way they're spending their time, or maybe they're older than us and they look at us at our age or your age and think, wow, they've got a lot of love and passion for their life path, right? And that's because you're living your truth, you're living authentically, you're on this mission that you feel like you're here to do. And when we're not in that, we kind of can shrug these questions off, or it shows in the energy that we talk about ourselves and the things we spend our time doing. I have been socializing over the last couple of days. I went away for a couple of days, and I was spending some time with some people that I haven't seen in many, many years. And I was also meeting some people that I've never met before. I was meeting them for the first time. And I actually had this compliment a couple of times. And it just goes to show, right? You don't really realize how you're talking, or how you're coming across, how you're being perceived. Because for us, or for you, for me, it's normal. We just talk, right? We just come from the energy that we feel is us. You don't have to force it or think too much about it. You just talk. Yeah, it's interesting what others see in you without you realizing, and to get those compliments on how reflective you are, or how it can be not normal for you to know yourself so much at any age, right? It doesn't really matter about age, but that compliment itself, where you know a lot about yourself, or you have a lot of clarity on what you want to be doing, or your love for life considering your age. And this just goes to show, right, if you get these compliments, or you find yourself as you're aligned with your true self, your new self, these things start to shift and other people notice it, you know? What I find interesting as well is so common in society when we don't quite know ourselves and we don't quite know what we're meant to be doing. We follow the pack, right? It's very normal. I think it's very humane. We want to fit in, we want to belong, and we want to look for others for guidance. It's natural. We do it from the moment we're born, right? We have these guides in our life, and then as we go through life, we have these key figures that show us certain things, and they might even not be aware that we're learning from these little scenarios and situations we find ourselves in. This can be at any age, right? But we pick things up along the way that either feel aligned or don't, and we can then navigate our lives with those life lessons. But when you don't know yourself and you're not filling your time with things that you know you love, or you're not sure if you love it, or there's a bit of confusion, right? We can very much just fit in, and we seem to approach our life with what those before us have done. It stands out. When I was going through school, right, it comes to going to university, and it's the norm. It's what you do at that age, right? You go to university. Yeah, what I found interesting is so many people just do that because it's the next step, without actually asking themselves or knowing themselves enough. Do I want to do this, or am I just doing it because those before me have done it? And this ties to every situation of life, you know. It's a bit like when you get to the age you can actually drink alcohol, for example. Are you just celebrating life and having fun and dabbling in it and gaining experiences because you now can, or are you just doing it because you think that that's what you do at that age? You now have got the green light to do it, and of course you can experience what you need to experience and dabble and find out if it's for you. But so many people get caught in a trap of drinking loads or partying loads, or taking a certain approach because those before them have done that, without actually asking themselves, does this suit me? Is this what I actually want to be doing? Now, when you know yourself, you know if that's what you want to be doing. You know if you want to be going to uni. You know if you want to be drinking every day or every weekend and getting blackout drunk, if that's your path. And I know it's not about being perfect. We need to go out in life and experience things to know if they're for us or for not, if they're for us or not. But having that reflection and knowing yourself makes this so much easier. Have so much more clarity on, no, that's not me. That's not how I spend my time. Or I'm not just going to go and do this thing that so many other people my age are doing just because those before us have done that, and now we feel like we have to do the same thing. It's not true. You know, you make the decisions, and by knowing yourself deeply, you know if that's right for you or not, rather than just doing things because we think that that's what you do at that age, or that's what you do at that stage of life, or no, this is what everyone does. They go out and do this thing, therefore I should be going out and doing this thing. Yeah, if you know deep down and you know yourself that that's not for you, then why are you doing it? You know, I've noticed this throughout my life, and just getting older, the different chapters of even like childhood and becoming a young adult and then into your 20s. I feel that so many people just go off and do things because those before them have done those things, and it's now time to do that thing, rather than actually knowing themselves and knowing the path they're on to know if that's in alignment with their true self or not. reflect, sit with yourself and get to the bottom and be on that journey as we go through our lives of knowing what truly suits our characters and who we truly are beyond these physical bodies, to know if that is what we want to be doing or if that actually suits us, rather than just getting caught up in this cycle of fitting in and just doing things because we think that's what we should be doing. So when you do have that reflection, you do know yourself, and then you do begin to see your character and your truth, your authentic self, and you lean into the strengths, but you're also putting the time and energy into overcoming the weaknesses or the wounds and uncovering that part of yourself that maybe you don't like, you'd like to move upon. And you start seeing the direction in your life that you feel you're here to take, your mission. When you start living that path and you know yourself, and you're not just doing things to fit in or because others have done that before you at that stage in their life, you're being authentic, you're being truthful. And then the projects that you start taking, the jobs that you start taking, the businesses you start setting up are coming from that place of knowing yourself, that place that you've reflected on, and that you know this is in alignment with who I want to be or what I want to be, the message I want to give, the voice that I've got, all the experiences I've lived. Get me to this point that I can know what I'm here to do. At least for this chapter, for this stage, right? We go through chapters and everything changes, or things can change, but it's about knowing yourself, the journey you've been on, and this current stage you're at, this current chapter you're in, for what feels aligned, what feels truthful, what feels authentic for you to be doing with your time, for you to be feeling passionate about life. And when you're doing this, the way you talk begins to change, your approach begins to change, and people see that. Your language begins to change. Your face will light up when you're talking about certain things that are in alignment with you and your passions and your love for life, your message that you're here to give. And that stands out to everyone, but especially those that don't feel that. And as I said, this is when sometimes you don't realise that you're talking in a certain way, with a certain love, with a certain glow to life and your life. But others notice it. And this comes from knowing yourself, knowing what's in alignment with you, your truth, what you've got to give to the world that maybe not everyone else has. We've all got these different strengths and weaknesses, right? And when we begin to understand them and uncover them and live by them, it doesn't mean that you're successful right away, but at least you're being authentic. At least you're being true to yourself, and isn't that success, right? You can have all the money in the world. You might not be happy because you're not living a life that's in alignment with who you actually are and what you actually are here to do. And that starts with reflection. That starts with knowing thyself and going on that journey of constantly understanding who you are right now. And then as you go through your life, different things are going to come, different experiences, different people are going to maybe change us or make us realise more about ourselves and uncover more of ourselves. But ultimately, we're just knowing ourselves more and more and more. And this helps you get to this point where you can understand what you feel you should be doing that's truthful to you, that's in alignment with you, who you actually are. And then you're no longer doing things just to fit in. You're no longer doing things just because those before you have done those things at that stage in their life. You're no longer taking jobs and opportunities or certain projects and projects just because you think that's what you should be doing, rather than knowing, no, that's not for me and this is for me. And when you're doing the thing that you know is for you, at least for this one chapter, as I said, nothing lasts forever, nothing has to last forever. You might uncover something that is your life mission and that you will be doing it till the day you die, and that's amazing, right? But start small. Just know what you are here to do right now, what feels true to you right now, by knowing yourself. And when you're living that path, you will talk in a way that others recognise and admire you for. The passion and clarity will shine bright in you, and others will notice that. And that's a sign that you truly are living authentically and coming from a place of truth and exploring and doing the things with your time that are truthful and are aligned. And not just changing ourselves to fit in. The way you approach life will change. The way you radiate will change, and people will see this in you. The language you use, and then the spark on your face, the glow in your eyes will be so bright, and others will see that. And you will feel it. Ultimately, it starts with you, right? That's all that matters. How do you feel within? You know deep down if you're spending your time doing things and you're on a path of exploring things that truly are aligned with you. You get to a point you can start making your money and supporting your family through doing things that are aligned with you and authentic to yourself. I understand life throws all sorts at us, and we do have to sometimes do things that we don't quite enjoy or that are hard work, and we do have to have chapters of our life exploring things just to get by. It's a part of life, right? But also a part of the growth, a part of the understanding, and through that you'll know yourself more deeply, what works for you, what feels right for you and what doesn't. But by reflecting and knowing yourself, you can start filling your time with things that do fuel you in a positive way, that do give you that spark, that passion, that love for life, because it's aligned, because it's truthful, because you're coming from a place that respects and embodies the true you. And you will have a whole glow about you, a whole demeanor about you that you will feel and others will recognize. And that's a beautiful thing that we can all achieve just by knowing ourselves and spending our time and exploring the things that really fuel us in a positive way. And this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So it's all about uncovering ourselves and knowing what we're here to do. And that starts with recognizing the path we've led, the strengths and wounds we were born with, but also what we feel like we're here to do. This all starts from knowing thyself and reflecting, and not just getting caught up in the fast-paced cycle of life and just following what everyone else is doing, because that can be someone else's dream, that can suit someone else's character, but does it suit your character? And this is what I diving into in the Navigating Self program that I run, knowing ourselves but having clarity, working with the mindset and balance and well-being and creativity to really get to the bottom of you building foundations for a fulfilling, successful life that give you that glow, that give you that passion, that give you that love for life, that others will look at you and think, wow, they're a real vibrant character. They seem to really know themselves and be comfortable in their own skin. They're not trying to change themselves just to fit in and go with the society's norms. They're really can see their own path and see their own powers and what they're here to do. And we've all got that, so it's just uncovering it. So if you want to get to the bottom of this, I can help. If you reach out, send me an email. My email is in the description below. This is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about, right? It's helping people see that in themselves and know themselves and the different approaches to life and directions in life, with the support and the accountability, so that you can start building these strong foundations for you to live a fulfilling and successful life. Please don't hesitate to reach out if that feels aligned, or if you'd just like to learn more. But what I'd like to highlight here is you'll feel it, when you're doing the right things in your life that you're meant to be doing, that feel aligned, coming from that place of truth. You'll be radiating on a frequency that people recognize, but you will also feel, and your love for life will grow, will be so present. Your passion for life will be vibrant, and we all deserve that, and we've all got the power to do that. It just starts with uncovering ourselves. Enjoy the journey, the hurdles that you need to overcome, and the barriers that come that we can break through knowing ourselves. Doesn't mean it's an easy journey, but what a life to live when you know that you're living a life that's fueling you in such a positive way and leading to ultimate fulfillment, rather than other people's ideas of success and everything else. So take care, look after yourself, and stay true. Peace.